Hey everybody, it's Rob Ziegler, and in today's video I'm going to have a very brief overview of the Pentax 6.7. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Basically, the reason I want to call this a brief overview is because there are a ton of very comprehensive reviews out there of the Pentax 6.7. Go into all the technical features. There's plenty of blog posts and stuff that you can look at. I just want to go over some things I like about this camera system and some things that maybe you may not have known, and just kind of share, some brief insights. The first thing I want to talk about, is the elephant in the room. Everybody always says how big of a camera this is, and yeah, truthfully, it is. I mean, honestly, look at it; it's gigantic, right? I mean, for an SLR camera, it's huge. But I mean, it's a 6x7 negative, so physics, you get what you pay for, right? One of the things that I want to bring up though is that everybody always talks about the grip of the camera. Not always just this wooden left grip, but always on these earlier Pentax 6.7 models, they always talk about the right grip, or in this case, a lack thereof. You're probably noticing already that there is actually a grip on this Pentax 6.7. This is the 6.7 model from 1989, okay, not the 6.7 II. The 6.7 II came out later, had a lot of electronical upgrades, and also had a grip built into it. So Pentax knew it was a requested feature. But you can go on eBay and you can buy these guys. Let me see if I can get a focus here. You can buy these guys for about $20, I think, on eBay. And that's going to give you that right-hand grip that you are looking for. And it's easy to snap on there. It's just kind of a toolless screw-in thing. And it's really worth it. On this topic of grips, though, on this wooden grip, a lot of people say, oh, it's kind of like it's in the way. People say, oh, you're always going to be just using your left hand for focusing anyway, which, I agree with. That's where that's where it belongs, right? But at the same time, in my really brief experience using this camera, I found the left-hand wooden grip to be of paramount usage when you're doing a portrait, like a vertical style portrait. Put a lot of weight on just using that hand right there, kind of shooting it in this fashion with just a balance down there. I found that to be really comfortable, and it's probably overlooked, but I mean, even when I was shooting like this, like, you can just balance it like that if you want. I'm not an idiot. I didn't actually do that. But the balance is there, and it gives you a really nice grip. You can also attach a focus ring. That I don't have it attached right now, but on the lenses, you can put a focusing ring here. And when you're shooting like that, you can use your middle fingers on both hands to just slightly adjust your focus, because maybe you're not quite on. You're just slightly adjusting focus until you're there. And then, again, the weight of the camera, it's falling down on that grip. It's giving you a really nice, solid feel. The 3D grip helps here too, but again, you don't even have to have it if you're just doing it like that. And boom, take the shot, move on. And yeah, it's so, yes, the left-handed grip in the horizontal position, it might be a little weird to use it this way, but it definitely finds its place when you're using it in that vertical orientation. I also like the fact that we're looking at a 1/1000th of a second max shutter speed. You don't always get that with a medium format camera. Hasselblads, Mamiyas that I've used, they always top out at 1/500th. So especially when you're shooting wide open with like the 105mm 2.4 on here, just being able to get that little extra bump in exposure, it really helps. It could really make or break the fact of whether or not you get a good exposure. Again, some of you eagle-eyed people out there may have noticed that I'm using a metered prism on here. One of the things about the metered prism you want to watch out for is that you don't adjust the shutter speed on the top dial. You adjust it, this little knob on the bottom that's attached to the metered prism. In my experience, the meter in here was phenomenally accurate. I mean, I was really actually impressed with how accurate it was compared to my incident meter. I usually always want to trust the incident meter a little bit more when I'm shooting film. Sometimes just the way that a meter in a camera sort of reads a particular spot, it's not really picking up exactly what I want. You kind of get some, under or overexposure. But with this one, it was almost like just every single time it was like on point with the incident reading. So eventually I just stopped using the external meter, stuck to what's built in here, and it worked great for all my exposures. And I'll show you some of those in just a bit here. So if you pick up the Meter Prism, you know, do a couple of tests side by side, but you'll probably trust it just as much as I did. One note on the prisms, by the way, if you have a lens attached with your Meter Prism and you want to remove this prism to maybe to put something else on, like a chimney finder or like the top-down view that you can get, like sort of the Hasselblad prism, don't remove the prism until you remove the lens. So remove the lens first, then you can remove the prism. There's a chain linking the two of them. So if you remove the prism and the lens still attached, it could break that linkage, and that might end up costing you kind of a hefty repair. And on the topics of the Meter Prism, again, if you are shooting with the Pentax 6.7, you're getting about a 90% view through the viewfinder. If you want 100% coverage, again, you can get like a waist level viewfinder, like sort of the Hasselblad style top down. That'll give you 100% coverage of the focusing screen. But in my opinion, this thing is like it's like looking through a TV screen. If you are shooting on a 35mm camera and then you come back and you come into a Pentax 6.7, it's going to be just like you're looking from SD to HD all of a sudden, right? Or from HD to 4K even. Which isn't that big of a jump, but anyway, different video. I really, really like the way everything looks through the camera. The negatives come out great. It's a really nice treat to be able to look through this guy. Just another tip, if you are looking into the Pentax 6.7, again, yeah, it is a big camera, right? Mirror slap is actually an issue with this camera. It's a huge mirror, like I had mentioned before. It does have mirror lockup in the later models, 6.7s, and the 6.7 II also has it. The earlier 6x7s did not have mirror lockup, so keep that in mind if you're looking for a very early model versus the ones that are newer. But I think I could handhold this one, what was it? Probably 1/125th. I could handhold it reliably. I think I actually got a shot off at 1/60th of a second, but you really want to hold it as still as possible. But again, if you really want peak sharpness, which again, some people really go for sharpness and some people don't. But if you really need peak sharpness, like if you're doing this for a fashion blog or something being printed in a fashion magazine or just magazine landscapes in general, whatever you're doing, and you want that peak sharpness, definitely get that focus set, hit that mirror lockup, give it a second to kind of get the dampening, ready. Take your shot after that, and that's probably going to give you peak sharpness. But again, hand holding at 1/60th, not locked up, or anything lower than that, definitely like 1/30th, you're probably going to get some vibration in the shot. You will get a little bit of smearing, a little bit of blurriness off of that. But again, it's not much you can do. It's physics. It's a gigantic camera, gigantic mirror. So just be aware of that. Treat it very carefully. The last thing I want to talk about is sort of the ecosystem of the lenses and the accessories that you get with this Pentax system. Now, I got extremely lucky when I purchased this Pentax 6.7. It came with the 105mm 2.4 that you see right here. It also came with another lens. This is the 45mm. And one thing that Pentax does that I love is that they included these lens pouches with all of their lenses. I also have the hoods that go with these cameras, and again, like each hood has its own pouch. So you're seeing that guy right there. And I'm just gonna throw this stuff out in front of me here, but this is just like the presentation. You don't really see that anymore. And again, if you're buying this stuff off of eBay, maybe you just get the lens and some styrofoam and some bubble wrap and that rubber bands and all that, and that's it. That's your presentation, right? But if you can truly find what this camera came with when it was first released, like what the photographer got when they first got this camera, or they first bought these lenses in these cases. I mean, you don't see stuff like that anymore. You get it in a box, cardboard, plastic. I'm looking over at some camera boxes right now. It's not the same, right? It's not the same. So I really think that it's just kind of a neat way that Pentax made it kind of a special camera. I actually think, like, in the Pentax manual, the 6.7 manual, the first few words are something along the lines of, like, we know you know how to take pictures already. We know you're a photographer, so we're not going to talk too much about how to use the camera. Here's just some stuff you should know. Like, they just kind of glossed over it. They're like, we know you're a photographer. Here's this, like, great kit. Go use it. which I kind of thought was pretty cool. And the very last thing that I will say about this camera system is everybody always talks about the 105mm f2.4 lens. And I am here to tell you, this thing is the real deal. This lens, I think it's this lens that actually sells this camera. People don't buy this camera, you know, just because they wanted a 6.7 camera. People buy this camera because they want to use this lens. And that's a real thing. And I've experienced that, I've used it. I'm gonna show you a few shots now where I went out with some friends, did my own little fashion shoot, and shot this thing wide open, I think as it was always intended to be shot. I don't think anybody has a 105mm 2.4 on a Pentax 6.7 and shoots it at anything other than wide open. But let me show you a few shots real quick, and you tell me what you think of it. So not bad, right? I mean, it's a pretty incredible camera system. The 105mm, like I said, it's the real deal. Tell me, like I said, tell me what you think. Put some stuff down in the comments. Let me know what you think of those shots. Again, I'm not a fashion photographer by any means, but you know, you put this lens into your hands, again, you're gonna want to shoot it wide open. There's no way that you could not get this camera and not have this lens. It's the dream lens for this system. So it's a great kit. Great system. Again, I know I didn't go over all of the specs of the camera, and I didn't go over like how to load it and everything. Some people are going to slam me for that. There's videos out there for everything, folks. You can find that already. But I just want to go over a couple of things that I thought was really special about this camera. It's the cleanest camera I've ever received. I really, really enjoy using it. I don't know if it's for me in the long term, but it's definitely been fun to experience it and hear that giant kerchunk, and you know, it's you know, actually let's go ahead and hear this thing real quick. All right, so let's hear it. First things first, go ahead and open the back cover all the way. Now you have to push down on the film counter. Push down and turn until it goes into one of the numbers, then close the back while still holding it down. Now you've basically tricked the Pentax 6.7 into thinking that you loaded some film on. So go ahead and do a wind on. Let's listen. That's awesome. One more time. I could dry fire this thing for days. Pentax did it right, folks. 6.7, great camera, 105mm 2.4, awesome lens. And so that's it. That's the overview of the Pentax 6.7, probably one of the most legendary cameras out there. And I know I glossed over it. Like I said, if you guys have any questions or want some specific information, just leave them in the comments down below and keep the conversation going down there. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this quick look at it. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.